Okay, this is going to be my first video, what I hope will be several, and it's about learning to program in the Java language. Now, let me just point out one item that is a certain area of potential confusion is that there are two languages that have the word Java in their name. There's the Java language, the Java programming language, which originally came out of Sun Microsystems, and then Sun, I believe, purchased or merged with Oracle, and now it is owned and maintained by Oracle. And then there is something called JavaScript, which is a different programming language, and they're not the same. And this is a lecture on the Java programming language out of Oracle. Now, we're going to use a piece of software for compiling and running Java programs that runs equally well on Macs and PCs, which is why I've chosen to use it, and it's called Dr. Java. So first, to find Dr. Java and download it, you should go to drjava.org and go to the download link, which here is the URL for that right here. And then you will see there are buttons here for downloading versions of the Java programming language. There's what they're calling right now the beta jar, beta Windows, beta Mac, and this is the Java version 7. Now, if you have Mac OS, if you have Snow Leopard or below, or an earlier version, then you have installed on your Mac the Java language version 6. But if you have the absolute latest version of the Mac operating system, it has Java language version 7. Now, Dr. Java does not yet have running, as of this recording, a full operating version of Java 7, and that is what is in the beta version. So what they're calling the stable release, or the most stable release, or the current stable release, is actually version Java 6. And that's what we're going to be using, that version of Dr. Java, just so we can avoid any additional problems in using the beta version. My recommendation here is that we tried downloading the version here, download Windows app via HTTP here, and download Mac OS X app here. And there were some people, we had problems on their computers because their computers probably had configured things that were a little bit different than makes it easy to run either of these two versions. They did not run completely error-free. So because each of these versions tried to use Java compilers that were already installed on your computer, and if the compiler was installed somewhere else or a different version or whatever, then what you downloaded with this link or with this link didn't quite work. You can download everything, and that I have found that it works on the Macs and PCs. If you just download the Java jar file via HTTP right here, you download that either for your Macs or PCs, and then just install it and it works. Okay, so you do that. Now once you have that done, then we're ready to get started. So I'm assuming that now that we have run through that problem of getting the software installed on everyone's computer, and we're ready to start programming. Now, actually, last class, which I do not have a recording for, and everyone didn't have the Dr. Java properly downloaded and installed, but I wanted to do something useful in class, so I did an example 1 program. and I'm going to do example 2 program. If you don't have the example 1 program, believe me, you're not really behind. So here I have in my text editor the program that I want you to now, when you open up your Dr. Java window, I want you to type this in to your Dr. Java window, like right in here. And I have mine configured. I've configured the preferences in this so I can show line numbers or whatever, so I can refer to these line numbers as we're talking about things. So let's go back here. This is in my text edit file. This is the program. I want you to type this into Dr. Java. I don't want you to, when for the present time, I may be emailing you versions of programs to type in, which you will be able to copy and paste into your Dr. Java. However, the syntax in the programming language is important to learn, and you don't really learn the syntax if you're always copying and pasting your programs into your programming window. The syntax is like the grammar of the programming language, and that programming languages are profoundly, and Java is a profoundly unforgiving. You make the slightest error, you capitalize something when it's supposed to be not capitalized, or you put a comma where it doesn't belong, or parentheses where it doesn't belong, and it gives you no extra credit. You get an error, and you won't be able to compile and run your program. So I want you to type this in because you're going to need to get used to debugging your program. You're going to need to get used to having typing errors, which give you syntax errors when you compile your program, and learn how to go back and find what those errors are and fix them. And so type this into your Dr. Java window and try to be as careful as you can that everything is typed exactly as you see it here. That you have periods where all the periods are, you have uppercase letters where all the uppercases are supposed to be, semicolons where the semicolons are supposed to be, parentheses where the parentheses are supposed to be, braces where the braces are supposed to be, and so on. Okay, so I'll take some time, pause the video, and type this into your Dr. Java window. Then I will go to my version, which I've typed in, and you can see that right here. Okay, so here's what I've typed in. This is my version typed into the Dr. Java window, and I'm ready to compile it and to see if it compiles. And so here we have this program. Now let me tell you a little bit about what the program is supposed to do. We're going to call the file example2.java, which we will name as the class name of the file. And it's important to have the file name and the class name the same, exactly the same here, except for here on the file name we put .java, and here this class example2. Now class, for those of you who might be familiar with other programming language, think of this as we call a program a class. So class example2, and then we have an open brace. And if you recall, I said that when we have a slash with an asterisk before some text we have typed, that begins a block comment statement, and that we end a block comment statement with an asterisk and a slash. Begin it with a slash and an asterisk. Everything between these two asterisks is considered to be a comment by Java, and it's not considered to be executable program code. So here's a comment, a block comment, and we say this demonstrates a variable. That's what this particular program does. We're going to call this file example2.java. So the first line of the program, we type class example2 and then an open brace. Then we have another comment statement. This is a second kind of comment statement, which is just a single line comment. We type // Java programs begin with a call to the main program. And that call to the main program here we show exactly in this statement right here. We begin with a public static void main, and then an open parentheses, string args, brackets, then a brace, and then I'm going to begin by initializing a couple of variables, and I'm calling them integer variables. That's where int variable 1, and I'm ending that with a semicolon right here because this is actually an executable line. Then I follow it with a comment, // this declares a variable, integer variable, okay, again a semicolon, // this declares another variable. So this is setting up two variables here. I say, okay, I'm going to set variable 1 equal to 1024, and then another semicolon, and then another comment following that. This assigns 1024 to the value of variable 1. Now we do our print statement, and our print statement is system.out.println, print line, parentheses, and then in quotation marks, variable 1 contains, close parentheses, plus variable 1. So this will type the statement variable 1 contains, and it will be followed by the value of variable 1. Then we set variable 2 equal to variable 1 divided by 2. We print dot out print, okay, again, just, and this, notice, doesn't have a line. It's variable 2 contains variable 1 divided by 2. And then we have another print statement, system.out print line variable 2. Now, if you recall, when we have a print line, it prints what's here and then puts a blank line underneath what we have printed here, or does a carriage return. That's not quite what I said, put a blank line isn't quite right. It puts a carriage return. In other words, it prints this, and then it's like hitting the returns on your computer. It goes to the next line. When you do a print without the line statement, it doesn't go to the next line. Okay, and then when I type this out, print.out, and print line variable 2, it will print variable 2, then it will go to the next line. Now notice that all of these are executable statements right here. This is an executable statement, ends in a semicolon. This ends in a semicolon, semicolon, semicolon. And then I have two closed braces here. This brace right here goes with, first of all, the bottom brace goes all the way up with this brace. So this is associated with this brace right here. This brace right here goes with the next brace that should be in the program. Where is it? Where's the next open brace? I'm looking for it. Up here, class example. So that's up here. Okay, now let me try to compile this and see if it compiles without errors. Now, it would be really unusual for me to first type in a program and have it compile without errors. So it says I must save, okay. Save all modified, okay, save it. I have to save it, and I saved it, and I got 5 errors. Wow. Okay, so it tells me there's a error in line 6, and it says that there's an error right here. Now what? Aha, okay. I should have put a closed parentheses right there. Let's go back and look at this original file. Okay, here we are, public static void main, open parentheses, string arguments, then we have our brackets, and then there's a closed parentheses. So I should have had a closed parentheses right here, which was missing. So boom, there. Let me put that in there. Then I'll save it. Okay, now let me compile again and see what happens. Compile. Oops, still have some errors. Here it says Dr. Java example Java file, 4 errors found, line 12. Then here it's clicking by variable 2. Variable 2 is defined here. Now one error is that if I haven't declared variable 2 in a variable type statement, and so I have variable 1 declared as an integer here, and integer see, I should have had a 2 there. Boom, that should have been a 2. Instead, I set as integer variable just something called variable instead of variable 2. So save that. Now let me compile. Uh-oh, another error, and it's blinking here. It says there's a parentheses expected. Print, maybe there's, let me see, let me look at the code I was copying here. Oh, okay, look at that here. Uh, I forgot, not a parentheses, but here I have a quotation mark. Variable 1 contains a quotation mark. I have a quotation mark here, but I don't have my quotation mark here. So it's the quotation mark that's missing on that line. Boom, there. Now let me save it. And let's see what happens when I compile. Okay, there it compiled. Now, as you've seen, I made, 3 errors in typing that program. And there are errors that you might find difficult to find. You need to practice in finding these kinds of errors. And this is why I want you to type the program, so you get practice in finding your syntax errors, your typing mistakes as you type out the program. We had a missing parenthesis, a missing quotation mark, and we had misdefined a variable. Now, again, let's look at this program right in here. Remember, this is, we're talking about integer variables as opposed to another type of variables. So we'll experiment with this in a minute, but let's run the program and see what we get when I try to run the program. So I go up here and I type run, and it runs, and it says variable 1 contains 1024, and that's what we said, variable 1 equals 1024. Then it goes to the next line because we did a print line, and then we defined variable 2 here to be variable 1 divided by 2, so that should be 512. And we did system out print, but we didn't skip the line after that because there's no line ln here. We say variable 2 contains variable 1 divided by 2, so it prints variable 2 contains variable 1 divided by 2. And then we print out, after that, notice there's a colon here, then we print out variable 2. So it doesn't skip a line after this print statement, and then it prints out variable 2 right here. Okay, so 512 is 1024 divided by 2. Now, I want to do an experiment to illustrate a point here. Instead of calling variable 1 to be 1024, I'm going to call variable 1 to be 999. 999, there. Save it, and then compile without an error, good, and then run. And so variable 1 is 999, and it says variable 2 is 499. Now, is 999 divided by 2 499? Well, if you do it, you see that the variable 1 divided by 2 is actually 999 and a half. Okay, I'm sorry, I mean 499 and a half. Variable 1 divided by 2 is 499 and a half. So it does not keep that half. So what an integer variable does, if there's any fractions, remember we said variable 2 is an integer variable, and when we compute variable 2, if there's any fractional component when we do that computation, it just drops it and just keeps the integer part of variable 2. So variable 2 is no longer what it should be. It's the integer part of variable 1 divided by 2. Now let's add another statement here. Let me declare a variable. I'll call it variable, put it after here, called integer variable 3, okay, int var 3, okay, semicolon. So here we have variable 3. Now I'm going to say variable 3 is equal to variable 2 times 2. So var 3 equals are 2 times 2. So variable 3 equals variable 2 times 2. And now I want to print out what variable 3 is. I'm going to do that using a statement just like this. So watch, I'm going to copy this, copy, paste, system out print line, and we'll say variable 3 contains variable 3. So let's see if I've done that all properly. I'm going to save, run. Says, oh, the document should be recompiled, so I need to recompile it. See, it told me that I forgot to recompile it, so I compile. So it says I have a mistake. Okay, Dr. Java, example 2, line 15. There's something wrong here. Integer variable 3 equals variable 2 times 2. It doesn't like that. Okay, and the mistake I made there was I forgot to put in the semicolon. Look at that. Okay, so now, so you got to be really careful with this stuff, people. Save, compile, compile completed, run. So now it's run. Variable 1 is $9.99 as it was before. Variable 2 is $4.99 as it was before. And now I compute variable 3, which is 2 times variable 2, and I get $9.98, which is 2 times $4.99, and it's an integer. So see what we have here. We have 3 variables called integer variables. Okay, variable 1 is $9.99, variable 2 is variable 1 divided by 2, and variable 3 is variable 2 times 2. Now, if we were just dealing with regular numbers, 2 times variable 2 should give me variable 1 back, but it doesn't. It gives me $9.98, not $9.99, and it's because in the computation of variable 2, it dropped off the fractional part, the half here, because actually variable 1 divided by 2 is 499.5, but it dropped it off, only kept the integer part, so when I multiplied that by 2, I got 998. So that is an example in our programming of how integer variables work, and also a bit of an example of how important it is to get our syntax correct as we're typing these Java programs, or it makes us hurt if we don't get it right. So until next time.